I've now reached the point where I can put in my fourth fan, and I can show you a different way of doing your fan. And the reason I've left this to last is because I'm just about to mess up all my pairs, because I'm going to do it in half stitch. So I've opened up my last pin that I did over there at the end of my fan. So above the pin is the last of the fan, below the pin is the start of the next fan. So you can see here there's nothing covering this pin, and that's called open. So they've both got a twist on them from the cross stitch and twist, and so I'm going to do close the pin. Instead of with a cross stitch and twist, I'm going to close it with a half stitch, and immediately my pairs are all messed up. So I'm then going to half stitch through the next pair, which already has a twist on from the ground stitches here. So I'm going to half stitch, and that is the last pair that I need to bring in at the moment. So I'm now going to put an extra twist on my worker pair, which has been mixed up because my original worker, the blue, is over here, and now I have my worker pair consisting of the blue and a purple. So I'm going to then put my pin in, and I'm now going to work back through my two pairs in a half stitch. So that's one half stitch, that's the second half stitch, and I'm now at the end of my row, and I want to have two twists on my pair. So I've got one from my half stitch, so I'm going to put another twist on, and then I'm going to pin up. And my threads aren't behaving themselves, so I shall leave that for a minute and see how far it goes. So I'm now going to go back through the two pairs I've already added, bring in my next pair. Again, I don't have to worry about the twist, but I have just checked it's still there because it should have come from the ground stitch. And then I'm going to put a twist on my worker pair to bring back, and I'll show you now because you should start being able to see it. In half stitch you only have a single worker, although it's still a pair, but each time the other pair gets left behind. So at the moment, this bobbin here, this blue, is my worker, and you can see it snaking along. Now I feel that if you use the same bobbin as the worker in half stitch, it tensions up, because if I didn't put the twist on, my worker would become this yellow and it would go across, and then if I didn't put the extra twist on the other end, it would change again. So then you would end up with lots of different worker threads which won't be tensioned up until they get further into the half stitch. But if you have the same one zigzagging backwards and forwards, the tension on your half stitch will be quicker because you'll have the same bobbin thread. So that's why I always advise doing the extra twist on the edge of your trails to bring the same worker bobbin. Remember, we're only talking about a single worker, even though we have a pair, the worker thread, because you only get one thread that runs backwards and forwards. So we've put the pin in. We're going to take our work back in half stitch, check in each time that we've only got the one twist on. Just at the moment where you're learning, you're going to be looking down here, but ideally with time you will suddenly find that you can look here because your hands know what they're doing. But so it's going to be slower for you because you're going to be looking at your hands, looking at here, but you want to just glance at and check that each pair has a twist on before working through it. It will make your life a lot easier, believe me, because you'll notice if it's got an extra twist or it's lost a twist. So I've worked my half stitch, extra twist to bring the blue thread back as my worker thread, pin up, and half stitch back to the other side. So as you can see, the single bobbin thread is being used a lot more than the other threads because it's just doing backwards and forwards. So I've reached my widest point, my last pair to go in, half stitch through there, twist and then pin up. Half stitch back through all your pairs, extra twist and pin up. So now I need to sort this purple out. Right, I've sorted out my misbehaving threads. So now I'm going to go back across, and we've reached our widest point. So we need to leave a pair out. We're still leaving pairs out, so we're leaving that pair out, and we've reached the end. So extra twist, pin up, and then half stitch back to the other side. Extra twist, pin up, and you can see that pair I'm leaving out. Extra twist, pin up. It looks almost tartany in the all the mixture of colours. So I'm now reaching my last pin, so I'm going to put my extra twist on and then pin up, and I will close it with a half stitch for the minute. So that's now all my half stitch fan done, and you can now definitely see what happens to the coloured threads compared to the other three. The other thing you want to also bear in mind, if I take the twist off of here, when you leave a pair out in half stitch, you will get one thread above the pin and one thread below, and then when you put the twist on, it then unites the two threads. So if you're ever doing half stitch and it all becomes untwisted, just look for a thread above the pin and a thread below the pin, and then you know that's the pair coming off of that pin. I'm ready to do the half stitch fan on the other side, but I'm going to do this one slightly differently because I wanted to show you that you can not only do a cross stitch and twist edge on a cross stitch, but you can also do a cross stitch and twist edge on a half stitch fan. So I've done closed the last pin with a cross stitch and twist, so I'm going to pull in my next pair, and has that got an extra? Yeah, that had an extra twist on it, so I just noticed that. So you see how it's slightly longer than a single twist. It's, I don't know if you can see it. So this one has 2 twists on it, so it's slightly longer, and this one only has 1. So that's worth noting. So there we go, it's slightly shorter if it just has 1. Okay, so we're going to half stitch and put the extra twist on our worker pair to bring our worker bobbin back again. We're going to half stitch, and now we've reached our last pair where we're going to do a cross stitch and twist both pairs. Extra twist. Now at this point the worker bobbin is on the outside, and you'll see why in a minute, because we're still going to end up with this worker bobbin being the worker. So we've done a cross stitch and twist, we've pinned up, and now we're going to do another cross stitch, and we're now going to twist the pairs to do our cross stitch and twist, which then puts our worker bobbin back where it needs to be. So don't panic if you're doing a cross stitch and twist edge and your worker bobbin ends up over here on the very edge. That extra twist of the cross stitch and twist pulls it back into where it needs to be. So I'm going to half stitch, extra twist, pin up and close with a half stitch, and we're at our last pair again. So we're going to cross stitch, twist both pairs, extra twist on the worker and pin up. And we don't need to panic about this worker bobbin being on the outside, because we know from experience now that when we do the next stitch it will be where it's meant to be. So cross stitch, twist both pairs, and there's your worker bobbin back where it should be. Half stitch, extra twist, pin up. Now we seem to have a lot of blue in this, so maybe I shouldn't have done the half stitch because it's brought the blue in, but anyway. So then here's our worker bobbin, half stitch, half stitch, half stitch. Now we're right at the last pair, cross stitch and twist both pairs, pin up, close with a cross stitch and twist. Oh, and look, I was too busy talking. My worker bobbin is not where it should be because it should be here and I haven't got it there. So what I've done is I have not put the extra twist on at this point here. So this isn't going to be quite so easy when you come to doing it with all in one colour, but it's a good habit to get into because it does make it a lot easier than having lots of worker threads running across, because like I say, it just won't tension up as quick, and so you're likely to pick up mistakes quicker. So now I can go back through all my pairs in half stitch, put my extra twist on. It will still work if you don't do the extra twist, but I just find it's a little bit neater because you're just controlling the tension of that one thread, not lots of different ones. So we're at the end, so cross stitch and twist, extra twist, pin up, close with a cross stitch and twist, half stitch, half extra twist, pin up, close with a half stitch, on the edge, cross stitch and twist, extra twist, pin up, and that's your cross stitch and twist, cross stitch and twist edged fan with half stitch. So you can now see, let me just pull these threads round. So with the half stitch with the cross stitch and twist edge, you get this nice straight line around the edge, whereas when you get half stitch, it's not. And this isn't quite as stable as that one because that cross stitch and twist really supports that edge, whereas these ones are a little bit finer and flimsier because they haven't got that solid edge. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of fans that hopefully make sense, and you'll be confident enough to put into any design that requires fans. And the fans can be bigger using more pairs, but the process is exactly the same. You just bring in more pairs and leaving more pairs out. Hopefully that makes sense, and I'm going to go off and finish the rest of it and come back and show you how to finish off your fan. Bookmark.